The moment I saw my husband sign the emergency surgery consent form for another woman's son while our own daughter was still lying on a hospital bed waiting for treatment because no legal guardian had signed her paperwork, something inside me went completely silent. No screaming. No crying. No accusations. I simply pulled out my phone. I took 3 pictures. One of his signature. One of the boy lying in the hospital bed. And one of my husband holding the child's hand while my own daughter kept asking the nurse the same heartbreaking question. Where is my daddy? That was the exact moment I realized my marriage had already ended. Ryan just had not figured it out yet. Because there was one thing he never knew. Everything we owned. Every bank account. Every investment. Every rental property. Every company share. They were all legally controlled by me. My name is Claire Bennett. I am 42 years old. For nearly 20 years I believed I had built the perfect family. Ryan and I met during graduate school. He was confident, charming, and the kind of man who could make everyone in a room feel important. I was quieter, more practical. While he loved taking risks, I loved making plans. People always joked that we completed each other. Maybe we did. At least in the beginning. After graduation I joined a financial consulting firm. Ryan started selling luxury real estate. Within 10 years I became chief financial officer of a growing investment company. Ryan built a successful reputation selling multi-million-dollar homes. Money was never our problem. Trust was. We simply did not know it yet. Our daughter Emma was born after 5 years of marriage. She became the center of my universe from the second I held her. Ryan adored her too. Or at least I believed he did. Every birthday party. Every Christmas morning. Every family vacation. Every smiling picture on social media looked perfect. People constantly commented that we were relationship goals. Looking back now I realize something. Perfect photographs hide broken lives better than anything else. About 3 years before everything collapsed Ryan began changing. Nothing dramatic. Just tiny things. His phone was always face down. He suddenly started buying expensive cologne. He joined a gym even though he had always hated exercising. He claimed clients wanted evening meetings almost every week. Whenever I asked questions he laughed. You know how demanding luxury clients are. I believed him. Not because I was naive. Because after 19 years together you stop looking for lies. Your brain automatically chooses trust. Emma was 13 then. Bright. Funny. She dreamed of becoming a pediatric surgeon. She volunteered every Saturday at the local animal shelter because she said helping scared creatures made her happy. She had my eyes, Ryan's smile, and a heart much kinder than either of us deserved. One Friday evening she asked me something that still breaks my heart. Mom, why does Dad never come to my competitions anymore? I looked up from my laptop. What do you mean, sweetheart? She shrugged. Nothing. I just noticed he always has work whenever I dance. It's okay. I know adults get busy. She smiled while saying it. But children learn disappointment much earlier than adults think. That night I checked our family calendar. She was right. Ryan had missed every single dance recital during the previous 2 years. Yet somehow he never missed golf tournaments with clients, business dinners, weekend conferences, or mysterious overnight trips. I wanted to confront him. Instead I convinced myself there had to be another explanation. Successful marriages require trust. That was what everyone always said. Nobody tells you that blind trust can become the perfect hiding place for betrayal. 2 weeks later another strange thing happened. I received a notification from our bank. A payment of $18,000 had been transferred from one of our shared investment accounts. The recipient was listed as Green Valley Academy, an expensive private elementary school. I assumed it had to be an accounting mistake. Emma attended public school by choice because she loved its science program. We had absolutely no reason to pay tuition anywhere else. I called the bank. The representative confirmed the payment. It had been authorized using Ryan's security credentials. I called Ryan immediately. He answered. After the 4th attempt, "Hey honey, busy right now. Can I call later?" I asked him one question. "Did you pay tuition for someone today?" There was complete silence. Then he laughed. Probably one of my investment clients. Long story. I will explain tonight. He never did. And somehow I never brought it up again. Life became busy. Quarterly reports. Emma's school projects, board meetings, house renovations. Small distractions filled every empty space where uncomfortable questions should have existed. Sometimes the truth does not hide because it is impossible to find. Sometimes it hides because we are too afraid to look. Then came the day that destroyed everything. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Emma had just finished dance practice. She texted me, "Mom, can we stop for burgers tonight?" I smiled. "Absolutely. Your favorite place. Drive safe with Mrs. Carter." 10 minutes later my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello." A calm male voice answered. "Ma'am, this is Officer Daniels. There has been an automobile accident involving your daughter. She is conscious but injured. An ambulance is taking her to Riverside Medical Center. Please come immediately." The world stopped spinning. I grabbed my keys. Called Ryan. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. Again. Nothing. As I raced toward the hospital, I kept praying. Please let my little girl be okay. Please. Anything but her. I had no idea that the worst pain waiting for me inside that hospital had nothing to do with the accident. It was waiting in another hallway, holding another child's hand. By the time I reached Riverside Medical Center, the emergency entrance was packed with flashing ambulance lights and anxious families pacing across the waiting area. I ran through the automatic doors without even realizing I had left my purse in the car. A nurse stopped me. "Are you Claire Bennett?" "Yes." "Where is my daughter?" "This way." She led me into the pediatric emergency department. Emma was lying on a hospital bed with a neck brace around her shoulders. Her left arm was covered in blood. Bruises had already begun spreading across her forehead. The moment she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "Mom." I hurried to her side and held her hand. "I am here. Sweetheart. Everything is going to be okay." She tried to smile. I knew she was trying to be brave for me. The doctor introduced himself. "Your daughter is stable. The accident caused a fractured wrist and possible internal bleeding. We need additional scans immediately. Nothing life-threatening so far, but we need authorization for emergency surgery if the bleeding becomes worse." I nodded. "Do whatever you need." The doctor frowned. "Normally both legal guardians sign unless one parent is unavailable. Is your husband coming?" I looked at my phone. 23 missed calls made to Ryan. Not one answered. He should already be here. The doctor glanced at the clock. "We cannot wait forever. If necessary, you may sign alone after the observation period." I thanked him and stayed beside Emma. She squeezed my fingers. "Mom, did Dad answer?" "Not yet. He is probably driving." That was a lie. Deep inside I already knew something felt wrong. Ryan never ignored repeated emergency calls. Never. At least not before. Half an hour later I finally received a text. "Running late. Emergency. Will explain soon." No apology. No question about Emma. Nothing. Just 6 words. "Running late. Emergency. Will explain soon." Something inside me became uneasy. Who has an emergency bigger than your own child lying in an emergency room? Another 40 minutes passed. Emma had been taken for a CT scan. I stepped into the hallway searching for coffee because I suddenly realized my hands were shaking uncontrollably. As I walked past the private treatment section, I heard a voice I recognized instantly. "It's okay, buddy. Daddy is right here." I froze. "Daddy." The word echoed through the hallway. Ryan called only one person Daddy. Or so I thought. Slowly I looked toward the partially open curtain. Ryan stood beside a hospital bed. His jacket was hanging over the chair. His hand gently brushed the hair away from the forehead of a little boy who looked about 8 years old. Across from him stood an attractive brunette in her late 30s. She looked exhausted. Ryan wrapped one arm around her shoulders. She leaned into him naturally, comfortably, like they had done it 1,000 times before. The nurse approached Ryan, holding several forms. "Mr. Bennett, we need your signature before surgery." He signed immediately, without hesitation, without asking a single question. The little boy reached toward him. "Dad, am I going to be okay?" Ryan kissed his forehead. "You are the bravest kid I know. Everything will be fine." I could not breathe. For several seconds my brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. "Dad." The boy had called him Dad. Ryan answered without correcting him. The brunette quietly whispered, "Thank you for coming so fast." I did not know what to do. Scream. Cry. Walk away. Instead, I stood perfectly still. Every memory from the last 3 years suddenly rearranged itself inside my mind. Late meetings. Weekend business trips. The missing money. Private school tuition. The expensive gifts. Everything finally made sense. Ryan suddenly turned around. His eyes met mine across the hallway. All color disappeared from his face. Claire. I did not answer. Neither did the woman. The silence between the three of us lasted only a few seconds, but it felt longer than our entire marriage. Ryan slowly walked toward me. I can explain. I looked directly into his eyes. Can you? Because I would love to hear how our daughter is waiting for surgery, while you are signing papers for another woman's child. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. The woman looked horrified. She clearly had not expected this moment either. Ryan lowered his voice. Please. Not here. Not now. I asked one question. Who is that little boy? Ryan stared at the floor. His silence answered everything. Before he could speak, another nurse rushed toward me. Mrs. Bennett. Your daughter needs you immediately. Her blood pressure has dropped. I turned without another word. At that exact moment, Ryan reached for my arm. Claire, please. I pulled away. Do not touch me. Not until my daughter is safe. I hurried back toward Emma's room while my heart pounded harder than it ever had before. Behind me, I heard Ryan calling my name. I never looked back. Nothing mattered except Emma. But as I held my daughter's trembling hand once again, I made myself one silent promise. I would not confront Ryan tonight. I would not destroy the marriage in the middle of a hospital hallway. I would wait. I would collect every fact, every lie, every document, every hidden dollar. Because if the man I had loved for 19 years had built an entire second family behind my back, then I was going to uncover every single piece of it. And when the truth finally came into the light, he would lose far more than his marriage. Emma's surgery lasted nearly 3 hours. I never left the waiting room. The doctors assured me the internal bleeding had been caught early, and that she would recover completely. Those words should have brought me peace. Instead, I kept replaying the scene in the other hallway. Ryan signing papers. The little boy calling him Dad. The woman standing beside him like they belonged together. Every few minutes my phone buzzed. Ryan called 11 times. Then came the messages. Please let me explain. It is not what you think. We need to talk. I am sorry. I ignored every single one. Around midnight, Emma finally opened her eyes. Her voice was barely a whisper. Mom, did Dad come back? I forced myself to smile. He had an emergency. She looked toward the empty chair beside my bed. Oh, okay. That single word hurt more than anything else. No anger. No tears. Just disappointment. Children always know when someone has stopped choosing them. The next morning, Emma was resting comfortably. The doctor expected a full recovery within several months. After making sure she was asleep, I quietly stepped outside. Ryan was waiting near the hospital entrance. He looked exhausted. His shirt was wrinkled. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. For the first time in years, he looked frightened. Claire. Thank God. Please listen to me. I folded my arms. You have exactly one chance. He took a deep breath. The boy's name is Noah. I already knew that was his name because I had overheard the nurse. Keep going. Ryan looked around to make sure no one was listening. His mother is Melissa. I met her almost 4 years ago. It started after one of my property closings. I never planned for any of this to happen. I laughed. A cold laugh even I barely recognized. Nobody accidentally builds another family for 4 years. His shoulders dropped. You are right. I made terrible decisions. I thought I could end it before anyone got hurt. Too late. Everyone is already hurt. Especially Emma. He rubbed his forehead. Melissa never asked me to leave you. She never wanted money. I interrupted him. Then why did $18,000 leave our investment account to pay private school tuition? Ryan stared at me. How did you know about that? Because unlike you, I actually read our financial statements. His face became pale. I continued. How much have you spent on them? How many accounts have you hidden? How many lies have you told? He whispered. I do not know anymore. That answer told me everything. He had stopped counting long ago. Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was my assistant at work. Claire. Sorry to bother you. There is something unusual. Our accounting department found one of your electronic approval codes attached to an investment transfer you never signed. I frowned. How much? $180,000. The transfer request was canceled because the signature failed verification. My heartbeat accelerated. Who submitted it? There was a pause. According to the system. Your husband. I slowly turned toward Ryan. Did you try to move $180,000 using my authorization? His face lost every remaining bit of color. Claire. I can explain. Again with the explanations. You forged my corporate approval. It was only temporary. I needed cash. Melissa's house was... He stopped talking. My voice became dangerously calm. Finish that sentence. Ryan closed his eyes. I bought Melissa a house 6 months ago. The world seemed to freeze. Not rented. Bought. While our daughter had been sharing the same bedroom furniture since elementary school, because Ryan insisted we should avoid unnecessary expenses. He had purchased another woman a house, using money connected to accounts I managed. I looked at him for several long seconds, then I asked the question that mattered most. Does no one know you are his father? Ryan slowly nodded. Since he was 5. I nodded once. Thank you. He looked confused. Thank you for finally telling me enough truth to know exactly what I have to do next. Claire, please. I love you. I shook my head. No. You love being admired. You love being needed. You love having 2 families because it made you feel important. But love does not abandon its daughter in an emergency room. Love does not steal from its wife. Love does not lie every single day for 4 years. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I have made the biggest mistake of my life. I answered quietly. No. Your biggest mistake was believing I would never find out. I turned and walked back toward the hospital. He did not follow. That afternoon while Emma slept peacefully, I opened my laptop. For the next 6 straight hours I accessed every financial record I legally controlled. Joint accounts, business investments, retirement funds, property deeds, insurance policies, credit card statements. What I discovered made the affair look like the smallest part of Ryan's betrayal. He had not simply been living a double life. He had been quietly stealing our future to build someone else's. And by the time I finished reading every transaction, I realized my husband was not just an unfaithful man. He might also be a criminal. Final part. 3 months later, Ryan was served with divorce papers at his office. He later admitted that the moment he saw the envelope he knew there was no saving our marriage. By then I had already done everything quietly. Every account had been reviewed. Every property had been documented. Every transfer had been traced. Every hidden payment had been organized into folders with dates, amounts, and supporting records. My attorney smiled when she saw the evidence. Most people come here with suspicions. You came with proof. The divorce process lasted almost a year. Ryan hired an expensive lawyer. It did not matter. Facts are very difficult to argue with. The investigation into our finances uncovered far more than either of us expected. Ryan had secretly used marital funds to purchase Melissa's home. He had transferred money through multiple personal accounts hoping no one would notice. He had attempted to move company-related assets using my electronic authorization without permission. That single mistake became the turning point. Instead of negotiating from a position of strength, Ryan suddenly found himself trying to avoid far more serious consequences. His attorney encouraged him to settle immediately. He agreed. The final agreement gave me full ownership of our family home. I kept the investment portfolio. I retained complete control over my retirement accounts. Ryan accepted a much smaller financial settlement than he originally demanded, because he knew a public legal battle would expose everything. Melissa disappeared from his life before the divorce was finalized. The beautiful house he bought for her was eventually sold. According to mutual acquaintances, she left only weeks after realizing Ryan no longer had unlimited access to money. The family he sacrificed everything for vanished almost overnight. Emma slowly recovered. Her arm healed. The scars from the accident eventually faded. The emotional scars took much longer. Ryan called often during the first few months. Sometimes she answered. Sometimes she did not. He attended every dance recital after the divorce. Every single one. He always arrived early. He always sat quietly in the last row. He never missed another performance. But there is one painful truth about children. You cannot earn back the moments you chose to miss. One afternoon after a competition, Ryan approached Emma with flowers. She accepted them politely. Then she asked him a question that neither lawyer nor judge could have prepared him for. "Dad, if I had died that day, would you have come to see me after you finished helping Noah?" Ryan stood completely still. His lips moved but no words came out. Tears rolled down his face. Emma waited for an answer. None ever came. She hugged him gently. Not because he deserved comfort. Because she had grown into a kinder person than either of her parents. Then she walked back toward me. As we drove home, she looked out the window and quietly said something I will never forget. "Mom, I think I finally understand something. People do not stop loving someone all at once. They stop believing they can depend on them." I reached across the center console and squeezed her hand. She was absolutely right. 2 years have passed since that day. Emma is now preparing for medical school. She still wants to become a pediatric surgeon. She says every frightened child deserves someone who chooses them first. I could not be prouder. As for me, I was promoted to chief executive officer 1 year after the divorce. Not because my marriage ended, but because I finally stopped carrying the weight of someone else's deception. Life became quieter, peaceful, honest. Sometimes people ask whether I hate Ryan. The answer surprises them. I do not. Hatred requires energy. I would rather spend mine building a better future. Ryan still calls every birthday, every holiday. He is trying to rebuild the relationship he once took for granted. Some bridges can be repaired. Others remain standing only as reminders of where we should never walk again. Looking back, I no longer remember the expensive vacations, the luxury cars, the beautiful house, the business success. I remember one hospital hallway, one frightened little girl asking where her father was, and one decision that changed every life forever. Because betrayal is rarely a single mistake. It is thousands of selfish choices made one after another until the truth can no longer stay hidden. And when that truth finally comes into the light, the greatest loss is never money. It is the people who no longer trust you enough to call you home. If this story moved you or reminded you that loyalty is a choice we make every single day, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes honesty always matters. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next story.